In this video, we're looking at another of Jesus' parables. But rather unusually, this parable is multiple choice. I'm going to ask you to try and figure out the story as we go by making a few educated guesses. So for instance, Jesus told a story about a king. Or possibly he told a story about a princess. Then again, maybe he told a story about a pauper, somebody who was very poor and didn't have any money. Or perhaps he told a story about a porpoise. So there you go. Which one do you think it is? If you think it's a king, put your thumb in the air. If you think it's a princess, 2 thumbs. If you think it's a pauper, put a thumb pointing down. And if you think it's a porpoise, 2 thumbs down. Have you decided? Well, the answer is a king. And in this story, Jesus said the king had a son who was getting into trouble. Or perhaps he was in fact getting a new job. Then again, maybe he was getting married, or perhaps he was getting a trombone. So there you go. Again, take a vote. Which one do you reckon? The answer? The son was getting married. And the king was very excited about this. And so was the prince, and so his wife-to-be, and even the camel. I'm not sure why the camel was so excited, but trust me, they were. And the king decided he was going to hold a huge party to celebrate the wedding of his son. And at the centre of it all was going to be an enormous feast. The king spent no small amount of time and money getting everything ready. And when everything was sorted, he sent out his invitations. He sent invites to people who are rich. Or then again, maybe he sent invites to the powerful people. Or perhaps he invited famous people. Or maybe he invited the camel. So there you go. Which one are you going to go for? Have you decided? Well, in fact, this time the answer is everybody. Apart from the camel, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But he did. He invited all the famous, all of the rich, all the celebrities of his time, and was sure that they would come along to this enormous banquet that he got ready. But the strange thing is, when those people got their invites, one by one they started to make excuses as to why they shouldn't come along. Some of them said, well, I would come, but unfortunately, I'm feeling ill at the moment. Or perhaps some said, well, I would come along, but I've just got married and therefore I cannot possibly come along to your son's wedding. Not sure how that works, but yeah. Some of them said, maybe, I would come along, but I need to go and look at a field. Or perhaps they said, I would come along, but I think my cow may need fixing. There we go. So which one are you going to go for? The answer this time is actually all of them, apart from feeling ill. Now that may come as a surprise, but genuinely this is what Jesus says. He says some of those people, they didn't come along because they said, I've just got married, so that means I can't go. And one person said, I would go along, but I've just bought a field and I want to go and look at it. And still another person said, I've just bought some oxen and I need to see if they can plough in a straight line. Now, these were not very good excuses. And I've got to tell you, when the king heard these terrible excuses, he was furious. And so, the king gave orders. He immediately ordered that the wedding was cancelled. Or perhaps, he immediately ordered that everyone who didn't come along should be killed. Or perhaps he ordered that everybody should have to pay more taxes to make up for all the money he'd spent on the wedding. Or perhaps he just went away and cried. So what do you reckon? Again, take your vote. In fact, the answer is, a bit of a surprise here, he killed everybody. Yeah, I know, it's not quite what you're expecting one of Jesus' parables, but that's what Jesus said. He gave orders. I guess the kind of the lesson there is maybe don't annoy kings. If somebody's got their own personal army, try and keep them happy. It's a suggestion, maybe. Anyhow, back to the story. Now, the king, he went to his servants and he said, those people that I first invited to this banquet, they were not worthy of it. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go out and find me nice people to come to my son's wedding. That way I've had a great wedding. Or perhaps he said, I want you to go out and pack this banquet full of people who are good looking. It could be something. Maybe he said, I want my banquet hall to be full of anybody who's just like hanging around on a street corner. Or perhaps he said, I want you to go out and find me Ed Sheeran. So there you go again. Which one are you going to go for? To make your decisions. The answer is he told his servants to go out and find anybody who was just sat around doing nothing. I know. And sure enough, they said, yes, we will come along to the king and his son's banquet. And in no time at all, the whole place was packed full of partygoers. And as the king went round chatting to all these people who'd come along to his son's wedding, he noticed that there was one person who wasn't dressed properly for a wedding. I wonder if you can see which person has not come along ready for a wedding. It's actually that person right there. You see, hasn't got a hat on. Terrible mistake. And the king sees this man who isn't dressed ready for a wedding. And he says to him, friend, how did you get in here, not dressed appropriately? The man was speechless. And then the king ordered his servants to tie the man hand and foot and throw him out into darkness. Where, said Jesus, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For, said Jesus, many are invited, but few are chosen.